It's an incredibly important state to the prosperity of this country. We're the Saudi Arabia of the United States. We're the largest coal producer. We're the largest trona producer. We're one of the top oil and gas producers in the nation. We really are instrumental in terms of ensuring prosperity in this country.
I'm Dave Rubin, and joining me today is a US Congressional Candidate for Wyoming's at-large district, Harriet Hageman. Welcome to the Rubin Report.
Thank you so much for having me, Dave. It's wonderful to be here.
I'm glad to have you because we met briefly about 2 weeks ago at a fundraiser at Peter Thiel's house, and you were going to give a talk, and then unfortunately sometimes it does rain here in Miami, and it started to rain, so you had to cut your talk just a bit short, but I thought there's something interesting. This lady's up to something. I liked what you started talking about. You're running against Liz Cheney. There's a lot there. So I thought, first off, how about you just introduce yourself to the people, since, Wyoming, obviously a small state, but an important one. But for the people that don't know you.
Well, I appreciate that opportunity. Yes, I was going to give a bit more background about who I was. It was a wonderful event at Peter's home, and so many of the people there had never met me before, so I wanted to give them just a bit of background so that they knew who they were supporting and why. We oftentimes focus on the fact that I'm running against Liz Cheney, but I'm not just running against Liz Cheney, I'm running for Wyoming. I have deep, deep roots in Wyoming. My great-grandfather came to Wyoming in 1879 on a cattle trail north from Texas, and he ended up ranching there for many, many years. And so I have lots of cousins. I have a very large family here in Wyoming. And then I come from a large family myself. When I was born, I was my parents' fifth child. When they brought me home from the hospital, my oldest sister was 5 years old. And they had just bought a ranch. They were over $200,000 in debt. They had $35 in the bank, and it was 1962. So we were land rich, I guess you'd say, but awfully cash poor. I grew up on that ranch. I grew up fixing fence and moving cows and flipping bales and doing whatever was necessary. We all learned to drive when we were about 4 years old because we helped our dad when he was feeding cows. We were very actively involved, and our parents ensured that we were. And one of the things that they always taught us when we were growing up, and I know that this sounds a bit strange to some people who don't grow up in that kind of a life, but my parents always told us that we had a responsibility to keep ourselves alive. From the time we were very, very young, 3 and 4 years old, we were told we had to keep ourselves alive. They didn't put a lot of constraints on us. We rode horseback. We did things. We would be gone from the house, for 6-7 hours a day. We played with snapping turtles. We had a rattlesnake that lived under the house for a period of time. We did a lot of things out there, but with that, we had a lot of freedom, I guess is what I'm saying. And so the flip side of freedom is responsibility, and the flip side of responsibility is freedom. And right now in this country, that isn't really the way that people view things. And I think Thomas Sowell recently said it best when he said, people are no longer responsible for themselves, but they're responsible for what other people did, even if it was 100 years ago. And I think that that's where we're heading in this country, and I think it's a really wrong approach. And I think that that's why my background really helps me to understand, because that freedom is incredibly important and is part of why I'm running. So in terms of my background, I'm a water and natural resource attorney. I'm a constitutional attorney. I've been practicing law for almost 33 years, and I've been fighting for and working for Wyoming for a long, long time. I work and I fight for the people who put food on your table, gas in your car, a roof over your head, and they pave your highways. And so I have the credentials, I have the background, I have the knowledge about Wyoming to be an effective congresswoman for the state. But also you mentioned that Wyoming is an important state. It's an incredibly important state to the prosperity of this country. We're the Saudi Arabia of the United States. We're the largest coal producer. We're the largest trona producer. We're one of the top oil and gas producers in the nation. We really are instrumental in terms of ensuring prosperity in this country. And so that's why it is so incredibly important to have someone with my background, my history, and my knowledge running for this seat, because I need to do it for Wyoming, and I also need to do it for our country.
You know, it's funny, you said it quite well there, but when I was listening to you talk at Peters, I was thinking this is really something, because you were saying a little bit about your bio, and I'm thinking, here I am. I'm Brooklyn born, lived in New York City most of my life, then Los Angeles for, the last 8 years until I moved here to the free state of Florida. And yet the things that you're talking about right now are exactly the things that resonate with me. And that shows you how the ideas of freedom and liberty and all of that crazy stuff really has nothing to do with geography. People just don't understand the issues. So one thing that I saw, and I didn't know this till this morning when I was doing a little research on you, that Wyoming's at-large district, meaning there is only one congressional district in the entire state. That is really, is that the only state to have that? I think so.
I think so. And we're the least populated state in the nation. So we only have 560,000 people in our state, but we're the 9th largest land-wise. So I've already traveled since September. I've already driven over 13,000 miles in the state of Wyoming, visiting every single county, sometimes multiple times, going to events. Last Wednesday, I was at a bull sale in Worland and meeting with our ranchers, meeting with our cattle producers, talking to them about the challenges associated with the supply chain. Oh my goodness gracious, trying to get parts for our tractors, trying to get parts for our trucks to be able to haul our livestock. All of those things are being impacted by this horrific administration that we have in place right now with Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and the radical Democrats. We feel it in Wyoming, you feel it in New York, you feel it in Florida, we feel it everywhere in this country, because this is a disaster that has been created in large part because the very first thing that Biden did when he took office was try to choke off our energy supply. That affects me personally in Wyoming because, again, we're an energy producing state, but affects every single one of us. And I've been having to eat out quite a bit lately because I am traveling so much. The cost of food in restaurants is absolutely skyrocketing. I had a breakfast the other day at the airport, realized it's a bit expensive at the airport. A pork chop, couple of eggs, a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, was $33. Now, that's just astronomical. Yeah. And it is because of this administration.
So you mentioned that you guys are an energy producing state, obviously. Can you just talk a little bit about the type of people that are in that line of work, the people that are in the coal mines, et cetera, that are doing this stuff? Because I think people, especially out of the mainstream left now, and what you get out of AOC and the rest of them, is just a complete dismissal of these people and their lives and the work that they do and how, you mentioned generational, how many years they've put into this and everything else. Can you just talk about the types of people that are your hopeful constituents?
Well, absolutely. They are the salt of the earth. They're independent. They're tough. They know who and what we are in the state of Wyoming. They understand our Constitution, and they really do understand freedom and liberty because they live it every day. They do what they want to do, and they produce a fabulous resource. So many people want to write coal off and say that coal is an energy of the past. That's absolutely stupid, and it's stupid for a lot of reasons. One is coal is abundant, it's clean, it is accessible, it's affordable. It is absolutely an energy of the future, and we are the largest coal producer in the nation. Japan, China, they're building coal-fired power plants like there's no tomorrow. The reality is that we have to have fossil fuels or people are going to die. They're going to die in the summer from heat. They're going to die in the winter from cold. And that's why I'm very proud of what Wyoming does, because we make everybody's lives better. When you flip on that switch, there's an awfully good chance that that electricity is coming from my state because it's coming from our coal.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop yelling, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.